I think the best way to make something is not thinking about the result, but just doing it because you feel like you have to.
What does it mean to be bold? I think you said something where you have to be bold to make it in Hollywood. What does bold mean?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I mean, again, make it in Hollywood. It's an expression that I said it, but it makes me cringe, you know, because make it. And it's like, what is making it? And the more time I spend here, the less I know what it means. It's like to get paid, I guess, to do something you love. You gotta be bold in the sense that you gotta put yourself out there. And it's really hard. And, you know, we all struggle with it, which is sometimes we feel like we're more comfortable in a place that's not really comfortable, which is, you know, I'd rather not go to that event or that screening, or I'd rather stay home and watch TV because it's so hostile and all that. And sometimes you gotta show up. You know, you gotta send those emails. And the thing with emails, or, you know, or texts, if you have the phone number and you have a relationship, sometimes you don't get replies, you know. You get rejections. People ignore you. They don't get back to you, you know. You think you're gonna meet and the meeting gets canceled. So being bold is being persistent, you know, getting out of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone is not really comfortable. You think it is. I mean, I tell this to myself every day. I think, you know, I'm a writer. What do I do? What I know how to do is to write. And, you know, well, no, that's not it. Because you can be an amazing writer and no one will notice. And it's hard, you know, learning to put yourself out there is hard. And sometimes surround yourself with friends who do it and learn from them. I hate it, but I had to teach myself, you know. Go out to that event, meet people, follow up. You know, friends that can get you into things, tell them, can you get me into that event? You know, and you meet people. Of course, then, you know, you gotta have something to show and all that. Be nice to everyone, you know, invite them, ask them out for a coffee or drinks. At some point, things will start moving by themselves, you know. The other thing I noticed with time, no one likes to read scripts, so I've been thinking of directing something myself. I'm actually writing something I want to direct, because people don't like reading, but they like watching. So even if you don't get into Sundance or whatever, it's something to show, you know. And I think the best way to make something is not thinking about the result, but just doing it because you feel like you have to, you know. So there's not one single way to do it. This is what I'm doing right now, and hopefully it pays off.
And I know you said earlier that the term making it makes you cringe, and I get why that would be, but do you think the longer that you're here, or that we are here in this town or in the industry, that the term making it, the needle moves? So it's like this spectrum, and making it when you first got here would be one thing, but then after you've been here a long time, you realize, no, there's not really a making it, because it's then one project to the next, and that idea of success, it just keeps moving. You know, there's a carrot that you can't grab.
I think it's healthy to demystify the idea. I think it was Gertrude Stein that used to say there's no there, you know, in the sense that one thing that has been helpful living here is realizing that I aspire to is here. I mean, that, you know, I got a chance to meet in Vegas Tom Cruise, right?
Oh, nice.
And it was just, we were just two guys in a room. Sure, he's a mega star and whatever, and his, you know, everything shines about him. But, you know, the fact that I can have access to that guy and we can talk means that it's not a different world, you know. It's funny, back in my country in Argentina, people ask me like, so what's Hollywood like? And I'll say, well, it's mostly a bunch of people in offices. You know, it's not glamorous. Sure, I mean, you go to the Emmys or the Oscars or whatever, and they're glamorous, but the rest of the year, it's just a lot of people in offices saying yes, no, yes, no. Do we have the money? Do we want to spend the money? And then going on shoots. And, you know, shooting anything is not glamorous at all. So it takes a long time, you know. It takes a lot of waiting. This is the thing no one talks about, you know, like movies are glamorous. No, movies are not glamorous. Events are glamorous. Shooting a movie is strenuous, it's exhausting, can be frustrating. That's why actors have trailers, because they have to wait. You know, you got to set up. And then when you're in development, you're meeting in offices having coffee. And a lot of times it's just saying no, because it's from their side, the exec side, it also takes courage, you know. Saying no is easy. You don't waste money. Saying yes, well, that's where it actually starts. I don't know. I guess we're all here because we think that it's possible. It's possible to do what we want and get paid for it. It's possible to make a career out of it. And when you're here, the truth is, I think about this often, is I got to remind myself there are more things in life than a career. I mean, of course, I got to pay a rent, and that's a big concern. You know, I got to make a living. Ideally, I can have enough money to also buy other things and eventually send my kids to college and all that. But you know, we get so obsessed. The whole struggle here, the hustle, you get obsessed with. It's all about work, and I'll work 24 hours a day if I have to, and weekends. It's like, no, what's the point? You know, especially if you do something creative. It's really hard to do something creative if all you're doing is working. You got to find some balance, or try at least. I mean, if you have no choice, I get it, but it can't all be about work all the time and making it. It's not sustainable. I see very young people who are exhausted. Again, because I want to talk about the backside as well. You know, like people who are actually doing really well and are stressed out and are exhausted and are not sleeping. You know, like, you gotta sleep, you gotta eat, you know? Anyway.
When you tell your friends in Argentina that Hollywood is really a lot of people in offices, what's their reaction?
I guess some people ignore me because they want to keep thinking whatever they want to think. People who are in the film industry there, which is it's barely an industry, it's way smaller. I mean, there's a lot of production, but I think they find that interesting, encouraging. They're like, oh, really? That makes sense. Or they ask me, do you go to the beach? And I say, rarely. I don't, you know, I forget there's a beach here. You know, I'm a writer. I'm just, I think it's, you know, every time you reveal something, the backstage or the backflip of something people imagine, it's always interesting. Nothing's as glamorous or as exciting from the inside.
That's a good point.
Hopefully the writing itself is exciting, you know. The other thing I always say is, a lot of the times, the people in charge, the people who have the power, don't know what they want until they see it, you know. So if you get rejected, it doesn't mean your script is bad or it's not worth it. I mean, it's all very subjective, you know. It's very easy to get discouraged when you get turned down in contests or fellowships, and you're like, oh my God, I'm awful. I'm not good enough. Maybe they were just looking for something else. I was a finalist, for example. I mean, one of NBC's writing programs, I was a finalist. And I did really well in that interview. And I didn't get it. And they told me, it's, you know, don't take it too hard. Themselves, they said, you know, it's like we had to pick, I don't know, 6, 7 people. So I didn't. I said, you know what? I could have been one of them. I mean, it's also a matter of luck and, you know, context.
This project that you're writing to direct, do you plan on shooting it here in the States?
No, I'm actually, it's interesting. I'm writing that to shoot in Argentina for several reasons, because I'm setting it down there. And also, to be perfectly honest, because the exchange rate is really beneficial. So if you have dollars right now, you can do whatever you want in Argentina, and you know, dollars go a long way. again, not to imply that I'm going to exploit my fellow countrymen, because I intend to pay really good salaries, but you know, it makes a difference.
The currency fluctuates a lot there?
Yeah, inflation. There's a really big inflation. But again, I mean, you can get an amazing crew and equipment and everything, and really qualified people and actors, and it's also a great way for me to reconnect with my own country. I mean, it's not just a financial choice. It's just that I really want to reconnect with with the language and the culture and the stories down there.